I'm not going to go onto the overhead. I just want to have a quick chat. It's really just to introduce myself. For the guys that don't know me, I'm Glenn Bayford. I handle the commercial property finance in the Mpumalanga area, predominantly the Lowveld area. You'll know, I am resident locally. You'll notice I don't wear a tie. I'm not from Johannesburg. What struck me from Evil's talk was that the credit process has not actually changed over the last couple of years. We've had the same credit process that we've had over the number of years. It's just the clients that have changed. The profile and the repayment ability and the risk profile, basically, of the clients. Now, when I'm talking about a client, I'm talking about a tenant. I'm not talking about an individual. From a commercial property perspective, we are based locally. Hendrik is my colleague. We have a valuation system locally. Jacques mentioned also the approval ratios of the residential. We look at things a little bit differently. I don't believe that we measure it in, we try and strive for a 100% approval ratio, because basically we see ourselves as the first line of credit. So what I'm saying is if a client approaches us, we assess the transaction over here, we determine whether there is appetite from the bank's perspective and whether we're going to proceed and recommend this thing to our credit. What I would therefore suggest is, because a commercial property finance transaction is slightly different to a residential, it's not as perhaps structured as what a residential transaction is, involve us from the outset. If you're a professional and you have a client who wants to do a development or purchase a property, please, by all means, involve us from the outset. Phone us. We'll come and see you, and let's walk the path together. It's going to save you time, it's going to save us time, it's going to save the client a hell of a lot of frustration. So if I could just offer that as a service from our perspective. We view a transaction from 2 points of view. Obviously, we're guided by policy, but once again, policy is a guideline. We'd like to stay within policy as much as possible, but we do veer off policy to a large extent. And there's many examples of it in town. As long as we can mitigate a case and the bank is satisfied that there is sufficient loan to value and there's sufficient repayment ability. Now, I hate to put the loan to value in front of the repayment ability. The repayment ability, to my mind, is actually more important what the loan to value is. We'd rather lend on a 80%, on a 90% loan to value where there's sustainable repayment ability than a 60% loan to value. Is that 3 minutes or 3 seconds? I'll make it, don't worry, I'll make it. So what I'm saying is, these guidelines, policy is a guideline, let's walk the path together. I'm not going to go through in terms of how we assess in a transaction. What I am going to deal on is the soft issues. And I'm talking now specifically about development loans. To get into commercial property finance nowadays, I believe, is more difficult than it was in the past. Somebody made the statement that the landlords are becoming a lot more sophisticated. I think you may have made that statement. Well, so too are the banks. In the past, it was quite easy to go and build a little commercial building with a bucky builder. Can't do it nowadays. The banks will only get involved if there's a competent professional team involved and there's sufficient legal issues in place, like the JBCC contracts, that the professional team has professional indemnity, and all those sorts of issues. So please, I once again reiterate, if there is a situation whereby your client is starting to develop an industrial property and he has the cash to build it halfway and he'll go to the bank later on and get the finance, don't advise him to do that. Bad advice. Rather get us involved in the beginning. Let us get the finance in place. Because if he gets to the situation where he's halfway through and he needs the money to complete, but he does not have a professional team on board, he does not have a QS on board, he does not have all those professionals on board for us to be able to determine that there's sufficient funds available to complete that building, he's not going to get the finance. Okay, so it's an important issue from the bank's perspective that we need to know that the developer has sufficient experience, that the developer has a competent team on board, and that, importantly, the developer has the funds to handle cost overruns. Because trust me, there's going to be cost overruns. Even if the QS has done an elemental estimate or a bill of quantities, there's a number of things that could happen. The weather could go skew. There could be unknowns. There could be rock under the ground. Those sorts of issues. So my message, people, please, we are local. We are available. Whether it be a development loan, we have the expertise to do it. Whether it be an existing loan, let us talk to your client from the beginning. It'll make all of our jobs a lot easier. Thanks very much.